The night had started like any other, yet it carried a strange weight I could not name. I stood in my small apartment kitchen, leaning against the counter, stirring a cup of tea I was not even sure I wanted to drink. The clock ticked past 9, the quiet hum of the refrigerator the only sound. Then I heard the front door open and close, followed by the soft sound of footsteps. My chest tightened. It was Liam. Liam and I had been friends for years before we ever became anything more. He was the kind of man people called dependable, steady, the one who would be there when you needed him most. He had been there when my marriage ended 2 years ago, when the silence in my home had felt like a storm swallowing me whole. He had shown up with takeout dinners, small smiles, and a listening ear when I broke down mid-conversation. Somewhere along the way, that comfort had shifted into something else, something neither of us had planned. That night, I knew he was carrying something heavy. His eyes betrayed him before he spoke. They were not the warm hazel I was used to. They were sharp, restless, like storm clouds gathering behind a familiar sky. He tossed his keys on the counter a little too forcefully and ran a hand through his messy dark hair. "Hey," I said softly, unsure where this was going. "Hey," he replied, his voice lower than usual. He moved toward me, quicker than his usual measured pace. I knew Liam well enough to see when something was eating at him. He had had a rough week at work, that much I knew, but this felt deeper. I reached out, touching his arm, hoping to ground him. "Talk to me," I whispered. "What is going on?" Instead of answering, he pulled me into a hug, tight, almost desperate. His heartbeat thudded against my ear faster than usual. I froze for a moment, caught off guard, before wrapping my arms around him. He held on like letting go was not an option. "Liam," I began, my voice muffled against his chest. "You are scaring me a little." He did not answer. His hands moved slowly down my back in a way that sent a ripple through me. I shifted slightly, looking up at him. His eyes locked on mine with an intensity that made me catch my breath. "Do not," I whispered, because something in his gaze told me he was crossing a line he could not uncross. "Liam, just stop for a second, please." But he did not. It was not that I did not care for him. I did, deeply. It was that the moment felt wrong, charged in a way that scared me. I stepped back slightly, but he followed, his hand finding mine, squeezing it as if to keep me from slipping away entirely. "Do you really want me to stop?" he asked softly but insistently. I hesitated. That was the problem. My mind screamed for clarity, for space, but my heart was tangled in the warmth of him, in the familiarity of his touch. The battle inside me raged like a storm I could not control. I turned away, walking toward the living room just to create distance, but he followed. "Liam," I said again, my voice urgent. "I need a minute." "Why?" he asked, stepping closer. "We have been dancing around this for months. I am tired of pretending. I do not feel this." His words landed like a spark on dry grass. Dangerous. Unstoppable. We stood there, breathing hard, our emotions filling the room like heat. I begged him quietly, "Please just stop." But he did not. He stepped forward, cupping my cheek with a tenderness that almost made me forget my own resistance. My heart ached because I knew this was not black and white. It was not about saying yes or no. It was about everything we had been through. All the nights on this same couch talking about our lives. All the times he had been my anchor when I was sinking. "I am scared," I admitted, voice trembling. "I know," he said, his thumb brushing away a tear I had not realized had fallen, "but I am not letting you run from this anymore." Part of me did not want to run. Part of me wanted to let go of every reason I had been holding back and just fall. And maybe that is why, even though I kept saying the words, begging him to stop, I never walked away. The night stretched on, our voices rising and falling in a mixture of arguments and silences until the storm between us quieted. Liam stayed. He did not leave when he could have. He did not let go when I told him I was not sure. In the weeks that followed, I realized that night had changed everything. Not because of what he did, but because I learned something about myself. I remember how the apartment seemed to shrink around us that night, how the dim light from the kitchen cast shadows across his face, how I noticed every small detail, the curve of his smile, the way his hair fell into his eyes, the sound of his steady breathing. I remember how even the rain tapping against the window felt like part of us, as if the world had paused just for this moment. Sometimes we beg someone to stop, not because we truly want them to, but because we are afraid of what happens if they do not. And sometimes what follows is the start of something we did not even know we were ready for. From that night onward, everything felt heightened. Every brush of his hand, every shared glance, felt charged with something dangerous and intoxicating. I found myself anticipating his arrival, noticing the little ways he showed he cared, the way he would refill my tea without asking, the way he hummed softly when I was stressed, the subtle way he would linger near me, close enough to feel his warmth but careful enough not to overstep. Liam never stopped that night. Not in the way I thought I wanted him to. And perhaps that is why he is still here, sitting across from me at our kitchen table 2 years later, his fingers tangled with mine. Both of us grateful that he did not. Looking back, I wonder if we had ever truly been prepared for the depth of what we shared. If life had given me the chance to rewrite that night, would I have done anything differently? I think of the quiet moments, the warmth of his hand, the way our laughter mingled with the rain outside, the scent of his cologne lingering in the air, and I realize it would have been impossible to choose differently. I want to know, have you ever felt a moment so charged, so dangerous, that it changed the course of your life forever? Share your story in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable tales of suspense, romance, and emotion.